Hello.
How's it going? It's been a while since we've seen each other, about
A couple weeks.
a month.
Or a month.
So I'm Harrison, this is Dennis.
Nice to meet you all.
The CEO of Foursquare. And so before we begin, can I just get a show of hands who here has used Foursquare before? Pretty good number. Anyone here use Swarm, the check-in app, the dedicated? Okay.
How many people are still using the Foursquare app to find places? Okay.
All right. I use it. I was using it a second ago, actually.
Yeah. I just use it to check when I was here. It's funny to see like what the split and the breakdown has done, right? Because you guys know we split the app about a year ago. And the reason that we did that was, we would go out and we'd ask people, hey, what do you use Foursquare for? And we found this a core group of people. It's like, I use it to check into places, but I've never even knew that you could use it to search for places and discover places. I'm like, we have half of the company working on it. How could you not know that? And then we met this other group of people that are like, I use it to search all the time, but I don't like to check in. I feel like I'm doing it wrong, so I stopped using it. And those, hearing that from people was a clear sign for us. Like, we really should break these two, use cases into two separate apps. And really what that's done, it's now that we're a year after that, it's accelerated the growth of both of those apps. Like with Foursquare, we can tell people, hey, this is the best way that you can find out about awesome places in your city. And with Swarm, hey, this is the most fun way that you can share your location with friends. So not to go into it too early, but your homework for the people here, I know San Francisco, everyone uses Yelp, but you guys should try Foursquare for a week and then report back. Give me, find me on Twitter. Tell me what you think of it. Because we hear this over and over and over again, that people love using Foursquare because it learns about the places you go to, it's got really short snippets, it's not full of people that are ranting. So I'd love to get feedback from people in here. So use it for a week and then let me know. I feel really proud about where the products are right now.
I have to share this joke. It was something about how...
Oh, thanks.
Oh God, someone said it was like Yelp is like where it's perfect for creative writing minors. And I heard that and I was like, so it's not to hate on them too much. I will say that the worst experiences I've ever had trying to find something was through Yelp, where it would say something like, this long, the waiter walked in, it was the glass was dewy from, and then at the end it says, but I don't like Mexican food. I don't want to hate
okay. I'm just saying it's this came up in the interview that we did. I think what we've identified a couple years ago was that there's a huge opportunity to reinvent the whole local space and to reinvent maps, to reinvent guides, to reinvent, this local discovery space in general. And that's what that's why we started Foursquare. And it's taken a long time to do that, but I think we're doing it now. And the whole thesis has been, you don't have to just crowdsource all of the reviews. What you can do is you can learn about the world based upon where people have brought their phones. And initially what we did, the only way to do this when we started this thing in 2009 was to ask people to press this check-in button. Like, hey, if you're someplace, the only way we can know is if you press the button. And then what we've done over the last 6 years is build all this technology so that if you have Foursquare on your phone, if you have Swarm on your phone, if you're running another app that's using a piece of our technology, all you got to do is just bring your phone somewhere. You don't have to take it out of your pocket and press the button. You just have to go inside of the Abercrombie for 5 minutes. You just have to go inside the Chipotle for 60 seconds before Foursquare starts to understand, oh, I know where you are. This is your first time here. What can we tell you about this place? And so that's the stuff that we've been getting really, really good at over the last couple of years, is not just understanding where all these devices are, but using all these data points to make awesome recommendation services, to build this entire advertising platform that is very helpful at helping brands and advertisers reach. Hey, I want to reach people whose phones have been in airports in the last 30 days, who have been to a park in the last 72 hours, who have been to more coffee shops than they have dive bars. That's all the stuff that we're doing with our data. And no one's ever built tools like this before. And so it's incredibly exciting because not only do we get to invent the future of the local discovery space for consumers, but we're doing the same thing on the advertising front. And it's been a lot of fun.
So before we get to Pinpoint, first, I'm sorry to any creative writing minors in the audience. And on top of that, so I think we have new stats for Foursquare to share. Is that correct?
Are they new? I mean, like we're always kind of constantly.
He's got 60 million registered users now.
Yeah, 60 million registered users. Like people think it's like, oh, it's I stopped hitting the check-in button 2 years ago or 3 years ago, so that means no one's using it. I'm like, there's 50 million people every single month around the world that are touching Foursquare products. We got 60 million people with registered accounts. We got a whole bunch of users that are using like our anonymous mode now, and so like. We've hit this scale where like we're not going away. Like we're building this awesome stuff, and I think we've hit the point where we got these other bigger companies starting to stress over the technology that we've built, the data that we're able to gather, what we're able to do with that. I think they're starting to see how a lot of our ad platforms and some of the new enterprise tools that we're building can really change and disrupt. I think some of the some of the existing marketing and advertising methods.
Okay, and real quick again, because I do want to get to Pinpoint.
Yeah.
You kicked off your own marketing campaign for the very first time last year.
Yeah.
And so how did that go? Did that help with this growth, or?
It was okay. I mean, like we did a marketing campaign where we did outdoor ads in it was New York and Chicago. We've never done anything like that before, so we wanted to try it. Hey, if we run ads on the subway in New York, like, does it do anything? It turns out it does. Like, yeah, sure, it drives a ton of people to our website to download the apps, but it's really difficult to track how effective the outdoor conversions were at retaining over time. And so, around about a year ago, we started beefing up the marketing side of our organization. And, to be honest, we weren't really sending a lot of emails. We weren't really sending a lot of pings. We weren't doing any Twitter or Facebook advertising. It was our first time doing outdoor advertising. And now our organization has gotten much more mature in our thinking there, and I think we've seen some really great results from that.
How much have you spent on that stuff?
I don't know the spend off the top of my head. It was enough that I was like, wow, we're really going to do this in 2 cities and commit to it. But it wasn't so much that the board was like, what are you guys doing? It was like really just trying to test the waters and see if it worked.
I find it really funny that one of the topics of this talk is supposed to be convergence, and you're talking that it's difficult to know how people offline convert to.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is,
users.
Ironically, this is the thing that we're trying to fix, right? So people are spending money all the time being like, I'm just making up stuff. Like, I ran all these ads from my Pizza Hut or my Chipotle or my AT&T store or whatever happens to be, and how do I know if it drives people into the store? And they're like, I guess there's just no way to do it. And that's where we are like, hello, we have this engine that exists on all these, tens of millions of devices around the world, and we can detect, hey, this person saw your ad in a weather ad or in a Clash of Clans game. And when they saw the ad, where did they end up going after that? Where were they when they were playing Clash of Clans? And how can how can those metrics be tied back to the effectiveness of the initial ad spend? And this is something we launched an ad product called Pinpoint about 4 months ago, and that's exactly this. I think advertisers have really loved the way that we could target ads natively in our Foursquare and Swarm apps, but they're like, I'd love that same type of targeting to exist in 20 different apps, or on ESPN.com, or on all these other mobile websites. And so that's what the Pinpoint product is working with other app developers, working with other mobile websites, working with other ad exchanges, so we can bring our level of targeting across a wide variety of different sites.
So who's using it?
In terms of advertisers?
Yeah.
We have, we signed up AT&T initially, has been super, super excited about it. Done a bunch of stuff with Jaguar and Land Rover. A lot of it's been retail stuff. There's like a laundry list of folks, so it's been good.
And we were talking about something before about the products that you specifically provide. You haven't talked, I feel at least like you haven't talked about this very much. There's two names. They're escaping me right now.
Which names?
Hold on, I got it right here.
Clients. It's funny. Like we talk about this stuff a lot. It seems like the people want to listen to, oh, you guys are still the check-in app. I'm like, yeah. We have a product that's the check-in thing. It's called Swarm, but we have built all this amazing other technology, and so that's we're always trying to get that message across to people. I think it's just starting to break, but I'm always surprised by how long it takes.
Place Insights, I think, was one of the things.
Oh, well, I mean, we have a wide variety of products that we're now selling to marketers and advertisers, right? So this Pinpoint thing that I'm talking about, the Pinpoint product, it's it sits on top of a bunch of the ad exchanges, and it makes targeting that much more sophisticated. What we've been doing is, clients will ask us at the end, well, hey, I spent all this money on Pinpoint. What did it do? So we send them what we call an attribution report. And it basically says, all right, well, you ran, 1 million ad impressions on the Pinpoint network, and it resulted in X number of visits to your stores. Like we know what the stores are, we know what the retail outlets are. Drove X amount of visits into that store. We know that the average basket price or bill is $10, and so this is the actual amount of revenue that this campaign drove. And no one's really doing stuff like that, so people are really wowed by those particular numbers. In addition, in this report that we send them, it's like, well, the people that go to your Chili's, for example, they also go to these 10 restaurants. These other 10 chain restaurants. The people that go to quick service restaurants like yours also tend to go in these types of categories. It's very easy for us to do demographic breakdown, geographic breakdown, and so this is kind of what we're delivering our clients as a response to them spending on the Pinpoint platform.
Are you passionate about that part of the business?
I'm passionate about what we can do with all of the data that we have, right? So, like my personal passion is like, how do we building these systems that learn about the world so that people don't have to think about, hey, I'm going on vacation, what are the 10 places I should go to? Hey, I'm walking around San Francisco because I'm here for 2 days, what is the must-do ramen place I should go to? Like Foursquare and Swarm cover that stuff perfectly. I'm really proud of those products. And now, this is the whole transformation from how do you go from just being this project or product or a startup to like a real business. And this has been a transformation for us over the last 3 or 4 years. Hiring a BD team, hiring a sales team, hiring an awesome chief revenue officer. It's like we have all of these data assets. How do we put them to work so that we can continue inventing the future on the consumer side? And so, that's what Pinpoint does. That's what the Place Insights tool, all the enterprise tools, all the data licensing stuff that we're building. There's this whole other side of the Foursquare business that lives far away from just the check-in apps and the Foursquare app. That's really powering all of this. This next generation, I think of like advertising and marketing tools.
So I pulled Twitter to see, and maybe some of you saw it. It was probably on the board up here for a little while. It's not there right now. I pulled some people for just questions for you. It was just a total bust. I got a bunch of responses on Twitter. What should I ask Dennis? And it was all like, we miss it, like hashtag we miss it. Where's the original Foursquare? Yeah. It's like every time I write about this company, about 5 to 20 people on Facebook, for some reason, like I feel like it's going to be that way in 10 years. There'll still be angry people.
We were one of the first companies to go and do the app split, and it took like it was a hard decision to make, and it was hard to get everyone on board with doing it. And now, at the years worth of hindsight, and years worth of data, we can look at it and be like, oh, that's exactly the right thing to do. I mean, I get people asking me on Twitter all the time, but it's like a general response is like, Facebook. Remember when Facebook changed the news feed for the first time, and people revolted, and then they kind of got over it. And then they split Messenger in a separate app. Oh my gosh! And then people get over it. Yeah. And there's always going to be a core group of people that don't, and that personally drives me a little nutty because I want those people to love what we're doing. But we look at the growth numbers for both Foursquare and Swarm, now 12 months after the split, and we just had a company meeting back in the San Francisco office, and I'm like, look at this stuff, it's working. Like this thing that people thought that we were crazy for and people thought it would never work, this is working really nicely. And it enables us to go out and start doing a whole bunch of other things, which is great.
Do you have a video to show us?
Oh yeah, I'd love to, yeah. I forgot I had this.
If we could cue it up, anyone want to?
So there's a couple things before I cue it up, right? So someone was asking me about this today, and they're like, tell me like why the data is so interesting. And I use this analogy I kind of liked. Like, Nielsen, for example. Nielsen's got like a panel of, 20,000 people that measure what's going on TV, right? It's like, okay, that works great. It's like, what would happen if you had tens of millions of people walking around the world telling you about which places were interesting and what were not, which places were getting hotter, which places were kind of over with. People that go to Abercrombie also go to this yogurt shop, but then they don't go to this shop. Like all the connections that you could make in between. And that's the stuff that we've been doing. This is this piece of technology that's been baked into Foursquare. Now, this is, here, I think we broke into a couple different examples. Watch is going to zoom in a real cool way. It's supposed to.
Maybe you have to do it one more time.
Maybe have to, oh, there it is.
There we go.
Right? So this is a kind of a look at some of the data that we have. This is the super trendy sushi places I've been to before. Like, it's really difficult to kind of capture it from a, from a satellite imagery or whatnot, but like all of these dots represent Foursquare data that says, hey, someone was at this particular place. And it enables us to draw like a shape around it. And we've basically drawn shapes for tens of millions of places around the world, so that anytime someone walks in and out of these shapes, anytime someone brings their phone in and out of these shapes, we start to understand, hey, this user has been here. Have they been here before? Have they not? And we're just doing this all over the world. This is it was a taco place or a Mexican restaurant down in Soma. This is off the grid. It's a food truck place. It's right on the corner from our office. Watch, you'll see this time on the bottom. It's quiet, it's quiet, it's quiet, it's quiet. This thing is only open, I think, 1 day a week. It's only open on Wednesday. But then watch all the signal that we get as soon as Wednesday hits. Oh, this is the place. People get their food trucks on Wednesday because the food trucks show up. And so imagine this. It's like every single venue in the world has this fingerprint associated with it. When do people go there? When do they not? What type of people go there? How long do they spend there? What are the other places that they go to? Where were they before this? And this stuff it's like crack for advertisers or marketers. And like just no one thinks this stuff exists. People are like, oh, well, I guess I spent money in an outdoor campaign. I hope it works. And I'm like, I have the data to show you whether it works or not. You got to come and talk to us about it. And so we're doing this constantly all around the world. Like we launched Pinpoint in the US, I think in, what month is it now? July? August?
It's August.
Whatever. So we launched it in March. We launched it in March, and this is kind of what it's like. It's like we're just like racing as fast as we can, building all this stuff. We launched this stuff in March or April, and the response has been fantastic, right? We've got this, it's running on like tens of millions of devices, all running this basic software in the background. So if you're bringing your phone, this is an airport like as a JFK or SFO, we can tell the difference between, okay, you spent some time at the ticket counter versus you went into the lounge versus, okay, well, where did your phone go next? Oh, your phone showed up in Boston. Based on where you've been in San Francisco, what should we tell you about what to do in Boston? Are these the types of stores that you like? Okay, we'll push you in that direction. Are these the place of restaurants you like? Well, here's a special offer. Here's an ad from a merchant. And so it's just like it's an incredibly sophisticated data source that's personally, like it's taken us kind of years to get our head around it and to build tools that can actually take advantage of this. But now that we do, it's like it's not just building tools for phones and building tools for watches and thinking about like, hey, do you put really smart recommendations in cars based on where your car is driven? But we're thinking about like, how do we do this for marketers and advertisers? How can where your phone has been in the past be a reflection of what you see online, what you see on the mobile web, what you see in the apps that you use every day? And this is kind of the stuff that we're doing and like things we're inventing. So
real quick, we've talked about this before, but I have to ask. So advertisers are going to want as much data as possible. Mm-hmm. People like me, I'm actually a bit privacy conscious, maybe ever so slightly paranoid, which you kind of have to be after you read about security too much.
Sure.
But where do you find that? Where do you draw that line for the right amount of data to collect and
Well, we do
what you don't touch?
A lot of stuff we do in aggregate. So like advertisers are buying segments. I want to buy the people that are business travelers. I want to buy the folks that are that we know they're on vacation. And so we obscure it in that sense. We could do it further down and get really, really specific, but it seems like the ad world isn't ready for that stuff, and like that's not something we want to do right now. So we're really focused on these segments. From the Foursquare side, from our own app perspective side, we always think about like we're building the service that is designed to learn about the places that you go to. The whole point of this thing was to build this thing that understands the difference between a sushi place and a dive bar, and then can start to learn about you. This is what you like, and this is what you don't like. So these are the places that we're going to teach you about. And in order to keep that service running, we have to find ways in order to to monetize a lot of the data. And so that's where a lot of these products are born.
So where do you see Foursquare in a few years from now, 5 years from now?
We've kicked around this phrase like we are the location layer of the internet, And it's kind of like becoming true in a sense, right? Like Twitter is using us to power their geo services. Pinpoint is pulling off our API. Microsoft, Windows Phone, Cortana is starting to use our services. There's another 85,000 developers that have built on top of Foursquare data. So it's funny when hands go up in the beginning. It's like, oh, I haven't used the Foursquare app. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that you've touched Foursquare data services because they've baked into so many properties around the web and around the world, which really makes me super satisfied. But the thing that would most make me happy is that everyone did their homework. Give the app a try, and then report back to me and tell me what you love and what you don't love about it.
All right. So everyone send your complaints to Dennis.
Seriously,
in your praise.
I will reply to each person that sends me a ping. Just at Dens on Twitter. And I'm happy to go back and forth and talk about the product. Like the thing that's important to us is like, how do we just make stuff that people love? How do we make these services that help people have an awesome time in San Francisco, Boston, on their vacation, whatever? And like, that's what I feel like we're doing a great job at it, so.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.